Hey guys, it's Sana again, and today we are talking about Halloween. Specifically, I want to tell you guys why I do not celebrate Halloween. I know it's a few days past Halloween, but I think a lot of people are still in the spirit of Halloween, and there are still a lot of Halloween decorations outside, so it's okay, I think, if we talk about this now. A quick disclaimer before we start this video, I just want to say that everything that this video is going to entail is going to be my personal understanding and my personal opinion about why I shouldn't celebrate Halloween as a Christian. So if you're one of those people who likes Halloween, who loves to celebrate it, then maybe you should consider about skipping this video. But if you're still curious about why I don't celebrate it, or maybe why you shouldn't celebrate it, then maybe stick around and see what I have to say. Halloween dates back to hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and it was celebrated by Celts or by Celtic culture. And the Halloween was originally the day or the eve of the Celtic New Year. The Celtic New Year was called Samhain, and that was the day of where Celts would celebrate the end of the harvest and where the cold would start, and it was also kind of celebrated as the beginning of winter and death and cold in general. So the eve of the new year was the Samhain, and what would happen that day is Celts would believe that the souls of the dead would return to earth on that day, and there was a lot of mysterious events going on that day because the gateway of the heaven, or the gateway that was separating the living and the dead, would open, and all the souls would come back, and if they weren't treated by some treats, they could actually cause a lot of harm. This is what they believed, and this is sort of the predecessor of the modern trick or treating. So they would leave food or something outside for these souls that were returning in order to avoid any tricks played by these souls, or by these ghosts, I should say. And also the Celtic priests, which are called druids, I believe I'm pronouncing the name correctly. So Celtic priests or druids would start making a lot of predictions about people, just like predicting about their future, and just telling people things about their lives, and this practicing also sorcery, I should say. And basically they would do all the modern occult practices that, well, this wasn't all of it. So on this day there were other things happening. Bunch of people would dress up in animal skins, which is the modern dressing up in costumes on Halloween, which pretty much everyone that celebrates Halloween does. And they were human sacrifices happening that day as well, especially kids that were being passed through the fire by their parents. And also there was cannibalistic practices, so eating human flesh, and also implicit sexual behavior. Eventually what happens is Rome conquers a bunch of Celtic lands. This is around 43 AD, and there's an exchange of culture. And at the time, Rome was pagan, just like Celts, and it wasn't until several hundreds years later that Christianity was introduced through Catholicism to Rome, and the pagan holidays were slowly co-opted by bringing this Christian holidays in order to help pagan people forget their pagan holidays. So All Saints Day is introduced, and it's being celebrated on May 13, which was originally a pagan holiday, a very similar holiday to the Samhain, celebrated by Celts. And what happens that over time, around 200 years after, about 609, by one of the Roman popes, these All Saints Day is moved from May 13 to November 1st, and until now, this is unchangeable, and still Catholic Church celebrates All Saints Day on November 1st. So All Saints Day, or also called All Hallows Day, is the eve of this day is called All Hallows Eve, right? So there you go. This is the word. If you combine All Hallows Eve, it changed its pronunciation over time and became Halloween. So this is where the word Halloween is coming from. So, as a Christian, considering the history of the celebration Halloween, I simply cannot celebrate this. And also, I believe that a celebration is something that should be for a happy cause. So on one end you have death, right, and all this skulls and spider webs and scary looking items, and all this reminding you of death itself, but you are celebrating it. It just makes no logical sense to me, so I can't understand how death, blood, and all this scary looking things can be reason for celebration. I do not think that is okay. So also, it's important to say that I personally do not like anything that's scary looking. I do not like scary movies. I do not like going to haunted houses or things like that. So this is why it's also not me. It's not close to my heart, so it's not something that I like. But also, just in general, as a Christian, considering the history of it, is just, I think it's not okay to celebrate. Well, some of you guys might think that I am just being too much and exaggerating, and you might say, oh, nobody really does all these things when they dress up with the idea of trying to celebrate death or anything like that. But whether you want it or not, it automatically becomes that. And it sounds like you are serving two masters. Just like the Bible says, you cannot serve two masters. Just you will love one and you will hate the other one. And it seems like you're saying, oh, I'm Christian, or if you are Christian in this case, I'm talking all the way from perspective of Christians. Oh, I'm Christian, I'm following Christ, I'm doing all these things to live a Christian life. But just one day, God, let me just go do these things that are not something that you would do or not something that you would like, which shows service of the other master, not you. And then just one day let me do that, and then I'll come back to you because I'm just gonna have fun for that day. Well, I think that's not okay. And especially when we involve kids in this, because as we saw from the history and from my understanding, this holiday is not for kids, just as much as our culture will try to convince the American culture it's not for kids, because we see from the history that this celebration was not for kids. If anything, it was very harmful for kids. So involving kids with disguising them in this costumes from early age, and just teaching them to go get candy and participate in tricking or trick or treating, I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's something we as Christians should do. This pretty much summarizes everything I wanted to say about Halloween and why I don't celebrate Halloween. And I hope this was interesting, and I hope this was something that you guys could learn a little bit from. And I'll see you guys again next time.